Jon Jones versus Dominick Reyes. Jon Jones, the greatest light heavyweight of all time, defends his title against undefeated challenger Dominick Reyes. And for 3 straight rounds, Reyes absolutely outworks him. Round 1. Reyes snaps Jones's head back with a clean left hand in the opening minute, stuffs a takedown, and lands 23 significant strikes to Jones's 17. Joe Rogan on commentary calls it one of the best starts anyone's ever had against Jones. Round 2. Reyes continues the onslaught with 33 strikes to 22, forcing Jones backward. Round 3. The swing round. Reyes still outlanding him 26 to 20, and the crowd is chanting his name. But here's where it gets dark. The Texas Commission had a reputation for questionable judging, and Judge Joe Solis had a hidden connection. He trained at a gym affiliated with one of Jones's coaches, a detail that wouldn't surface until after the fight. When the scorecards came back, all 3 judges gave it to Jones, but Joe Solis scored it 49 to 46 for Jones, meaning he gave Jones 4 out of 5 rounds. 14 out of 21 major media members scored it for Reyes. 0 gave Jones 4 rounds. 0. Hashtag Robbery and hashtag Reyes won trended worldwide immediately. Reyes said it plainly in the post-fight interview. "I know I won that fight." And here's the kicker. Jon Jones never called for a rematch. Instead, he vacated the belt and left the division entirely, fueling the belief he was avoiding a second fight with Reyes. Meanwhile, Dominick Reyes went on a 3-fight losing streak and never returned to title contention. That one night in Houston marked both his peak and his immediate downfall. This wasn't just a bad decision, it was career murder. Sean O'Malley versus Petr Yan. Sean O'Malley, the UFC's rising marketing star, faces Petr Yan, the former undisputed and interim bantamweight champion. The UFC had been pushing O'Malley hard, building him as the next big thing at 135 pounds. But Yan was levels above anyone O'Malley had faced. Round 1. O'Malley lands early and cuts Yan with a knee, but Yan responds with a brutal slam takedown and dominates on the ground. Most viewers score it 10-9 Yan. Round 2. Yan mauls him with body attacks, takes him down twice, and controls over 2 minutes of the round. Clear Yan round. Then comes round 3, the decider. O'Malley cuts Yan with a left straight. Yan shoots a takedown, but O'Malley escapes instantly. Final strike count? O'Malley 25, Yan 22. Under the unified rules, ineffective takedowns without control time don't score highly, and this is the detail that clinched the decision. 2 judges score it 29 to 28 O'Malley. Split decision win, but here's the problem. All 26 media members at the event scored it for Yan. Not some, not most, all 26. Fan vote was 72% Yan. Petr Yan's post-fight reaction said everything. Robbery. UFC is entertainment first, real fighting second. Even O'Malley hesitated celebrating like he expected to lose. The consequences? This put O'Malley directly into a title fight. Meanwhile, Yan suffered 3 straight losses, 2 of them controversial, and went from top 3 pound-for-pound talk to fringe contender status. To this day, this fight is held up as the poster child for marketable fighter bias in judging. Jan Blachowicz versus Magomed Ankalaev. The light heavyweight championship is vacant, and Jan Blachowicz, the former champ, faces Magomed Ankalaev, who's on a 9-fight unbeaten streak. Dana White billed this as the rebirth of the division. Rounds 1 and 2, Blachowicz hammers Ankalaev's lead leg with kicks, causing visible swelling. Ankalaev's backing up, clearly in pain, losing the striking exchanges. Round 3, Ankalaev adjusts, starts mixing in takedowns, but he's still losing. Then rounds 4 and 5 happen, and Ankalaev completely flips the script. He secures 3 takedowns and controls over 7 minutes across the final 2 rounds. He mounts Blachowicz and rains down heavy elbows. By the end of round 5, Blachowicz looks resigned. He even tells Ankalaev, "You deserve the belt." The scorecards come in. Mike Bell scores it 48 to 47 Ankalaev. Derek Cleary has it 48 to 46 Ankalaev. Then Sal D'Amato drops the bomb. 47 to 47. A draw. The result? Split draw. No champion crowned. The crowd erupts in boos. Even Blachowicz looks disappointed with the outcome. Ankalaev in his post-fight interview is furious. "Give me my belt. I won that fight. I don't know what judges saw." Dana White at the press conference loses it. "I don't ever want to see that judging tonight again. That was terrible." But here's what makes this worse. The Nevada Commission didn't discipline any judge. No review, no consequences, nothing. And the light heavyweight division remained beltless for months, killing all momentum. This wasn't a robbery, it was incompetence that damaged an entire weight class. Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski. Pound for pound number 1 versus pound for pound number 2. Islam Makhachev defends his lightweight title against featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski, who's trying to become a 2-division champ. The crowd is 90% pro-Volkanovski, roaring at every strike, and this shapes perception for the rest of the night. Round 1. Islam takes Volk's back and holds it for over 2 minutes. Clear Islam round. Round 2. Volk defends takedowns and outstruck Islam 37-21. Then, with 44 seconds left, Volk drops Islam with a counter overhand. The crowd explodes. This visually sealed the round for Volk in everyone's mind. Round 3 is close. Strikes are even, but Islam scores a takedown with 2 minutes left and controls for over a minute. Judges award it to Islam based on effective grappling. Round 4. Islam takes Volk's back with a body triangle locked in for nearly 3 minutes. Volk throws punches backward, but Islam controls the entire round. Then comes round 5, Volk's biggest moment. He knocks Islam down late and finishes the fight on top, landing heavy ground strikes. The crowd goes ballistic. Commentary screams, "Islam is surviving. Volk is putting it on him." This became the basis for fans calling it a robbery. All 3 judges score it 48-47 for Islam. Media scorecards are split down the middle. 15 had it Islam, 12 had it Volk. So what's the controversy? Fans saw 3 rounds to 2 for Volk based on visible damage and knockdowns. Judges scored 3 rounds to 2 for Islam based on back control and positional dominance. This sparked a massive debate. Does back control without damage score higher than knockdowns? Under the unified rules, control matters. But in the court of public opinion, Volk won spiritually. The UFC marketed Islam as the clear winner, but to fans, Volkanovski was robbed. This decision led to Volk demanding a rematch at lightweight, which ended in a brutal knockout loss months later. Ed Herman versus Mike Rodriguez. Ed Herman faces Mike Rodriguez in a light heavyweight bout. Round 2, 2 minutes and 47 seconds remaining. Rodriguez lands a clean body knee to Herman's liver. Herman collapses to his knees, clearly hurt to the body. Not the groin, the body. But referee Chris Tognoni suddenly stops the action, claiming it's an illegal low blow. The replay shows it multiple times. The knee clearly landed mid-body, nowhere near the cup. But Tognoni doesn't overturn his call. He gives Herman full recovery time, almost 3 minutes to recover from a legal strike. Michael Bisping on commentary is stunned. That was 100% a legal knee. This is terrible. Rodriguez loses all momentum. Then, in round 3, Herman, fully recovered from the phantom groin shot, scores a takedown and submits Rodriguez with a Kimura. Herman wins. Rodriguez loses his win bonus. Herman earns double pay and a submission bonus from a moment that came from a referee error. Dana White is furious after the fight. That ref blew it. That was a horrible call. Fans immediately called Herman's win the greatest acting performance in UFC history. The Nevada Commission never reversed the result, calling it referee's discretionary judgment. Rodriguez got robbed of a win, a finish bonus, and his momentum. Meanwhile, this fight is now used in referee training seminars as an example of what not to do. But for Rodriguez, that's no consolation. The damage was done. Kevin Holland versus Kyle Daukaus. Kevin Holland is headlining back-to-back cards and has become a viral sensation for talking during fights. He faces Kyle Daukaus in a middleweight bout. Round 1, 3 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. Clash of heads. Accidental, but devastating. Holland gets knocked unconscious mid-air and falls flat. As he's waking up, dazed and compromised, Daukaus instantly locks in a rear naked choke. Holland taps. Fight over. Or so we thought. Referee Dan Miragliotta suddenly stops the celebration. He waves over replay officials inside the cage. For 5 minutes, they review footage on a monitor in the octagon. Michael Bisping and Paul Felder on commentary are speechless. We've never seen this before. They're deciding right now what the result is. This is unprecedented. No one has ever seen a fight overturned live in the cage immediately after it ended. Normally, overturns happen weeks later by commission review, but Miragliotta makes the call on the spot. Fight overturned to a no contest due to the accidental clash of heads leading directly to the finish. Holland, still groggy, agrees on the microphone. That headbutt knocked me out, so yeah, run it back. The fight gets rebooked months later, and Holland wins the rematch, restoring his momentum. But Daukaus is bitter. They took my win away. I followed the rules. Fans debated it for months. Should finishes be reversed if caused by unintentional fouls before the ref calls it? This set a massive precedent. The first time in UFC history a finish was overturned ringside, live, after being completed.
Robbie Lawler versus Ben Askren.
Ben Askren's long-awaited UFC debut after years of build-up from Bellator and one championship. He's facing Robbie Lawler, one of the most violent fighters in the sport. Round 1. Chaos erupts immediately. Askren shoots early. Lawler sprawls and lifts Askren into a brutal slam, spiking him directly onto his head. Lawler rains down heavy ground and pound, nearly finishing the fight, but Askren survives, clinches, and locks a standing bulldog choke at the fence. Then comes the controversy. Lawler's right arm drops limp momentarily. Herb Dean, one of the most respected referees in MMA, takes this as a sign of unconsciousness and immediately stops the fight. But within 1 second, Lawler protests. "What are you doing? I'm fine." Replays show Lawler's hand briefly drops, but then braces back on Askren's head, indicating he was conscious. Joe Rogan on commentary is blunt. That was premature. Lawler was conscious and defending. The crowd boos loudly. Lawler doesn't demand an appeal, but he makes it clear. "I wasn't out. Herb is a good ref, but that was wrong." Askren insists he felt Lawler go out. Dana White sides with Lawler. "I love Herb, but he shouldn't have stopped it." This botched call overshadowed Askren's entire UFC debut, a moment that should have been his crowning achievement. Instead, it became a footnote to controversy, and it set the tone for the rest of Askren's short UFC run.
Aljamain Sterling versus Petr Yan.
Petr Yan is defending the UFC bantamweight title against Aljamain Sterling, the #1 contender. The first 3 rounds are competitive, with Sterling pushing volume and Yan landing the harder shots. In round 3, Yan drops Sterling with a clean strike. Going into round 4, Yan has clear momentum. Commentary notes that Sterling is slowing and Yan is downloading data. Then comes the moment that changed everything. Sterling is kneeling with both hands clearly grounded. Yan looks to his corner for instruction. His Russian coach audibly yells, "Yes, me!" Yan launches an illegal knee directly to Sterling's jaw. Sterling collapses, unable to stand. Referee Mark Smith immediately pauses the fight. The doctor asks Sterling if he can continue. Sterling says he's dizzy and can't focus visually. The fight is stopped. Petr Yan is disqualified. Aljamain Sterling becomes the first fighter in UFC history to win a championship by disqualification. The backlash is immediate and brutal. Sterling throws the belt off afterward, visibly emotional. The internet explodes, accusing him of acting, despite slow-motion footage clearly showing concussive impact. Yan admits, "I made mistake." Yan's coach later confirmed it was a cornering miscommunication. But none of that mattered to fans. Sterling received death threats and hate campaigns online. Fans called him paper champ. This single illegal knee defined Sterling's early title reign as illegitimate in the eyes of many fans, despite Yan's clear, undeniable foul. It took a rematch win for Sterling to finally earn respect, but the damage to his reputation lingered for years.
Yair Rodriguez versus Jeremy Stephens.
Yair Rodriguez, the Mexican superstar, is fighting in front of his home crowd against American veteran Jeremy Stephens. The atmosphere is electric. The fight begins. 15 seconds in, Yair reaches out with an open hand and accidentally pokes Stephens directly in the eye, scraping the cornea. Stephens immediately steps back, blinking heavily. His eye swells almost instantly. Referee Herb Dean signals timeout and gives the full 5 minutes allotted for recovery. Stephens cannot reopen his eye after 4.5 minutes. The doctor stops the fight. Official result, no contest, 15 seconds into round 1. And the crowd loses it. Fans instantly start booing, assuming Stephens quit. Commentary screams over the crowd noise. This is getting dangerous. Beer, bottles, and trash start flying into the cage. Fans try storming the barricades. Security has to shield both fighters as the entire arena erupts. The moment is compared to a soccer riot. Stephens later appears with a visibly damaged eye and heavy inflammation, confirming the legitimacy of the injury. But the damage to his reputation is done. Yair and Stephens got into a verbal altercation backstage. The UFC immediately booked a rematch. Months later, Stephens survived the full fight and lost via decision. But this remains the angriest crowd reaction in modern UFC history. 15 seconds. That's all it took to spark chaos.
Michael Bisping versus Matt Hamill.
Michael Bisping, the British star, faces Matt Hamill in front of a packed London crowd, and Hamill dominates. He outstruck Bisping 60-30. He secured multiple takedowns, full mount transitions, and total cage control. Bisping spent most of the fight retreating. The London crowd cheered everything Bisping did and booed every moment Hamill controlled him. But the fight wasn't close. Hamill won clearly. Then the scorecards came back. Judge Cecil Peoples scored it 29-28 Bisping. Judge Chris Watts scored it 29-28 Bisping. Judge Jeff Mullen was the only one who got it right, 30-27 Hamill. Split decision, Bisping wins. Joe Rogan on commentary is baffled. I don't understand that at all. The crowd even booed Bisping during his own post-fight interview in his own hometown. Dana White didn't offer an immediate rematch, furthering the backlash. This fight became a textbook example of 3 critical failures: hometown crowd bias, pre-modern judging incompetence, and the damage versus control imbalance that plagued early MMA scoring. Hamill was robbed in front of millions. Bisping went on to become UFC middleweight champion years later, but this decision remains a dark stain on his record. And for Hamill, it was a reminder that sometimes, no matter how dominant you are, the judges won't see it.
Alexander Volkanovski versus Max Holloway II.
Alexander Volkanovski defends his featherweight title in a rematch against Max Holloway. Rounds 1 and 2, Max looks phenomenal. He drops Volk with a head kick in round 1 and a clean uppercut in round 2. Commentary raves. This is the best Max has ever looked. But then, rounds 3, 4, and 5 happen. Volkanovski adapts. He starts landing leg kicks and inside calf attacks, outpointing Max with jab and low kick volume. No knockdowns, no dramatic moments. But he clearly swept rounds 3 through 5 in the eyes of the judges. Final scorecards, 48-47 Volkanovski, 48-47 Volkanovski, 47-48 Holloway. Split decision, Volkanovski retains. But fans are livid. 18 media outlets scored it for Holloway. 12 scored it for Volkanovski. Ariel Helwani summed up the controversy. Max did more damage. That should matter. Even Volkanovski admitted, tough fight, could have gone either way. Here's the issue. Fans heavily weigh knockdowns and visible damage. Judges weighed 3 rounds of consistent control and volume over 2 rounds of explosive striking. Under the unified rules, both are valid interpretations, but fans never accepted the result. To this day, the narrative persists that Max was robbed of recapturing his title. This decision built long-term resentment and remains one of the most debated calls in featherweight history.